But I got a little son. He's 9 years old now. He's very rambunctious. So he speaks his mind, and he's got yeah, right. And so he's got eczema, um, and it was really, really, really bad at times. And he'd be scratching, and like we'd have to cover him up with like band-aids and things like that. He'd like excoriate himself. And one day he looked at me like with a straight face. He was like, "Don't you help people that have right?" And I was like,
Is he
"Yeah."
a Virgo child by any chance?
Well, he's born in August. I don't know, August 23rd.
Oh, he's a Virgo. He's a Virgo.
Is that what?
That's not far from my daughter's birthday.
Okay.
Those Virgo children are like, they will assess you.
Yo, he looked at me. He's like, I was like, yeah. And he was like, well, you see me, like, I'm suffering.
Do something, Dad.
He's like, I'm your you going out helping all these other people, and I'm your son.
What's up, son? I'm supposed to be your son.
I'm supposed to be your son. And look at me. So that was the first, I was like, oh, wow. Like, I'm dropping the ball here, right? And so this is like a few years ago, I didn't have something for him. So we had started putting the pure oil on the skin.
Oh, the
So
CBD oil.
The CBD oil, right? So I
Wow.
have like a tincture that's just the oil. And it brought the inflammation down, right? But it was like just the oil, didn't have anything else in there. And so we would add other things to it and cover the areas up with the Band-Aid overnight or with the wrap so that he wouldn't scratch it and bring the
Nice.
inflammation down. And then I was like, I got to figure this out before he called me out again, right? So it took a couple of years, but we got something. And then in that process, I started looking at more of the things that affect people, especially how it affects people with melanin a little
Yeah.
differently, right? And so, like, the top three conditions that we're going to talk about today are eczema, right, which is Apollo's situation, and then we have
Which is a what situation?
Apollo. That's my son's
Oh, okay,
thing. Yeah,
okay. I thought you said pollen. I was like,
yeah,
no, I
no,
got eczema. What
that's
pollen?
his. So we have eczema and we have psoriasis and we have dermatitis, different types of dermatitis. So you can have like seborrheic dermatitis or atopic dermatitis or contact dermatitis. And basically dermatitis is just inflammation of the skin. And there could be different causes for it. And then, psoriasis is like an inflammatory condition, kind of like an autoimmune thing. And then you have the eczema. And so those things, what's important about them, and we always talk about this, is like how it disproportionately affects people of color and how it presents differently and how the way that medicine has always perceived things is through one lens. And then here we come and we're like, hey, it's kind of different from us. And they're
Right.
like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't help you.
Right.
This is what we have.
You have to
right?
rely on your super Negro nerves. We know you people don't feel pain.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a joke for those of you who don't get it. Like we do, but y'all, never mind. Go. So when it comes to eczema, this is something that I've experienced this. I had eczema as a child. I sometimes still get flare-ups. My kids have struggled with eczema. In fact, a lot of people, I feel like I'll look around, I'm like, oh, you got that, you in the tribe. You got that little patchy skin situation happening. But I've seen some people just really to the point of, it sounds like this might be what what your son was experiencing, just to the point where skin is cracking, bleeding, just really, really hard to deal with.
Yeah, because it's really painful, the itching, right, gets
Yeah.
you. And so if you have like kids like he is, he'll scratch and scratch and scratch because you just can't get any relief. Now, the interesting thing about that, and we can start, is this how it presents, right? So that you being a sister, like what that looks like for you. So I can tell you in my medical training, whenever they showed us images, like I would say 95% of the time when they showed us images of skin conditions and things like that, it wasn't melanated people.
Right.
The descriptions weren't the descriptions that would fit how it presents in melanated people or people with
Wow.
brown skin, right? So they would talk about redness, they would talk about this, right? And it doesn't show up as redness
Right.
on us, right? It may, depending on it, but it could also show up as gray splotches or purple splotches, right? And so if you're looking for a description, you're trying to diagnose something or get to the bottom of something, if the initial information that you're using to assess it is off, right, then you are never going to get the true answer because you're looking at the wrong thing or you're looking at it the wrong way. And so you're looking at these splotches of skin and you're looking for a description, and that doesn't present the same way as it does in the textbook, right? So you're like, whoa, what is this? Right? So I know a lot of people who are in medicine have had to deal with this kind of stuff, and you're like, wait a minute, this is not what it looks like when we have it, right? And then there's also the issue of the treatments, right? Some of the treatments for these conditions. as a result of, the melanin in our skin, some of the treatments can cause hypopigmentation, which means you'll lose the color in your skin, right? So now you got this treatment, let's say corticosteroids, right? You're putting steroids on an area. Not only can it make your skin thinner and lead to more breakage and things like, but it can take right? So people who've had skin conditions that have to use topical steroids for a long period of time know that it'll make your skin thinner. So the skin becomes more friable, easily damaged. It'll break and tear more easily. So long-term use, long-term use of topical steroids is not a good thing.
I knew it was bad, but I didn't know that was why.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so, like, even that, right? So let's say this is a common treatment for, let's say, psoriasis, right, with the plaques. We'll talk about that. But let's just say for the eczema, and you want to, treat that. It's in the crease of the elbows, which you never get any rest if it's there, right?
Those creases are the worst.
Yeah, right, because you never get any rest. It doesn't get a moment to relax because it's always bending and extending and bending. So that area of skin never gets to chill out. So it's always on fire. So, okay, we'll give you the steroids to try to get your immune system to calm down. Okay, great. Now it changes the color. Now that big area of skin is lighter colored, right?
You look like you bleach.
Bleach. And so now you have a second problem because now you not only have the skin issue, but you have the problem with the cosmetic results of that, which are important because your appearance, it does impact your sense of self-being, your sense of worth, how you interact with the environment, how people look at you, right? And so if you've got these splotches of discoloration, I mean, you can see that with people with vitiligo, like you notice when somebody's got vitiligo, right? And so now you've got to do like these explanations or wear clothes to cover it up so people don't see it.
God forbid it's on your face. I had a family member who had a ring of eczema around her mouth.
Oh,
so it looked like a gray patch. It was like a gray mustache, but it was circled her entire mouth. And that, I mean, you're like in the 4th grade. That's a fucked up situation.
Yeah, they're going to be on you.
Right. Oh, my God. On you. Poor cousin. Poor cousin went through it.
They're going to be all over you.
Exactly.
You better be ready to fight.
And you come home with scraped knees and a mustache mouth. So if that's what's happening with eczema, when it comes to psoriasis, what's the difference between eczema and psoriasis?
So psoriasis is so eczema is triggered by the environment. It could also be triggered by stressors. It could also be triggered by foods that you take. So there are a number of things that could trigger that, right? And so it's your skin reacting to things in your environment. So for example, one of the things that we had to do for Apollo is use different detergent, laundry detergent, right? So we had to use like the free and cleared, blah, blah, no fabric softeners, none of that stuff. Watch out for the soaps that we use, right? So he bathes with a special kind of soap.
He's a special kid.
Yeah, he is. I'm so special. I'm so special. So special. So you got to do all that stuff to make sure that you're not triggering the reaction to that. So the environment plays a lot in there. And of course, stressors. So there was a period of time like when school started, he would get flare-ups because now you've been off for the summer, your sleep schedule is different.
Right.
And now, boom, here you go back, to school. You got to do all this stuff. So that would stress him out. So that's like you can kind of do more things to control that. Whereas psoriasis is an autoimmune thing where it's your body turning over your skin cells rapidly, right? And now there are triggers in the environment. So same kind of things, stressors, foods, allergens and things can actually exacerbate those things. But the thing with psoriasis is that your body's doing this, right? So it's your immune system that's like, hey, we got to turn over this skin regularly. And as your skin turns over regularly, the new cells don't get an opportunity to develop and replenish themselves in a way that allows them to be their best selves. So then you get the plaques, then you get the scaly, rough patches, and you get, so because those skin cells are not produced in the way that they normally should be. And so they, they get really rough, they get dry, they get like really irritated, they get hard. And as a matter of fact, psoriasis can not only affect the skin, but obviously the joints. You can get psoriatic arthritis, right? So it's an autoimmune.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it can affect you systemically.
So in the scale of better to worse, eczema in comparison to psoriasis, we're on the up. We're trending up.
So, because it's still painful. Like if you've got a bad case of eczema, you can't sleep.
That's right.
Right? You can't
That's
sleep
right.
at all. You can't do anything. You can't take a shower. You can't go to the swimming pool. You can't do. You're staying away from water. You're covering yourself completely
Yeah.
outdoors. You
Yeah,
right?
one of our producing team just raised their hand. They were like,
It's like
"That's me you're
I'm
talking
telling her
about."
whole lifestyle, right? You've got to be careful with your exposure to the sun there, right? Because now you have this raw skin that's getting bombarded with ultraviolet radiation from the sun, UV rays. You're easily sunburned, so now you've got a area that's flared up, but now that's sunburned. So you don't want to really be messing around with it, right?
Just skip summer altogether.
Yeah.
Hibernate in the summer and go into the
But it'll
winter.
get you in the winter too now.
Damn it. So then
When you're ashy.
why you so ashy for? And you gray.
Yeah, you're gray. So, right. So the plaques for psoriasis can look gray sometimes. This is an example of it, where they describe it in the textbooks as maybe looking shiny or scaly or right. But for us, it'll come out looking grayish a little bit more. It'll come out looking a little bit ashier.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be like,
There's nothing shiny about
yeah, right. It's not going to be shiny. Oh no, it's just not going to be that shiny, right? It depends, but a lot of times it'll look gray and tougher and rougher, kind of, right? It won't be, it won't be red most of the time, right?
Right.
And so again, here you go, and you go to the physician. This is one of the things that happens, and we always talk about this: how these things are disproportionately affect people of color, women of color specifically. And there's a lot of research that shows this: that not only do Black people or women of color not go to the dermatologist, compared to their counterparts, Caucasian counterparts, they don't go at the same, right? But there's reasons for that. Because you're going to go there, and sometimes that person is not equipped, and no disrespect to the dermatologist, right? Because there are a lot of great dermatologists, a lot of sisters and brothers in dermatology that are making it specifically like, I got to address this issue,
Right.
But you may wind up in places, and we know that, where the people don't really understand, right? And so
where they're
treat-
mediocre. Because
yeah,
you
they're
can't
not
be, how can you
accepting-
be a medical expert in your field if you can only
Yeah.
recognize this on one specific type of body? So,
Correct. So-
unfortunately, we have a lot of mediocrity in this, in this world. So,
so you might go there and then you get a treatment that doesn't work well for you,
Right.
Or it creates the side effects that we were talking about. You get this discoloration, or you may get the thinning of the skin and breaking of the skin. And sometimes, you might go somewhere, and we talked about this yesterday in terms of our roots of our cultural way, in terms of how we care for ourselves. We tend to have more of a holistic view on things, right? So we're interested in herbs and natural medicines, more the Ayurvedic thing that they would say, as opposed to pills, right? And medications
or
and
topical
steroids.
creams,
So
yeah.
and there's studies to show that, like, quote unquote, indigenous people or Black people, we're more in tune with that kind of healing. Right? And so you might go someplace and see a physician and say, well, this is what I was thinking. How's aloe vera for this, or turmeric or whatever? And they'll be like, yeah, that's nice. Here's a prescription. All right. It's
Go get the steroid cream.
Yeah, that's nice. All right. Yeah,
That's so
that's
cute.
really
You
nice.
said lemon water.
That's nice. You could go outside and do a rain dance, but fill this prescription.
Stop at the pharmacy and get these drugs.
You could do whatever. You could throw some bones in a
Take it with a bone broth. I don't care.
We don't care, right? And so you get that situation where these conditions become poorly managed because you're prescribed or you're giving advice that you don't believe in, right? And so now here's the treatment I'm offering you, and you're like, but that's not really what I'm trying to do here, right? And
you told us yesterday during the town hall, I don't remember if it was actually on air or if it was in a commercial break, but it might have been actually during the conversation, where you said basically one of the biggest contributing factors to whether or not your medicine works for you is if you believe in it.
Correct. Absolutely. If you don't believe in it, it's not going to work out for you. You're not going to be adherent to it. You're going to find ways to skip. You're not going to go to your follow-ups. You're not going to you're less likely to do like the additional testing. So let's say they want you to go do a shave biopsy of the site, right? Oh my God, like, I don't know what's up with the skin. And they're like, oh, that looks like so-and-so. We need to go get you do a biopsy. You're less likely to do that. Wait a minute. Oh, but you want me to do what? I don't know. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't. Right. So if you've got that and what that will lead to is, more adverse outcomes, right? And then there's a dissolution, dissatisfaction, which means I ain't going at all now. I don't trust them completely. I ain't messing with it, right? And so, those kind of things create barriers in terms of getting the adequate care. And when we come to skin, again, the skin is your first line of defense, right? That's like it stops things from getting in you, like bacteria and viruses and fungi and things like that. And it also allows for exchange of oxygen and water and all this. So if your skin, it's not just a cosmetic thing, like it's involved in your overall health and homeostasis. So if your skin's not healthy and doing well, you're not going to be healthy and doing well.
Right.
And not to mention the psychological things from the cosmetic things that come along with skin conditions.
Right. And so then dermatitis, because we've talked about eczema, we've talked about psoriasis. How are both of those things different from dermatitis?
Right. So dermatitis is a general term. I think we spoken about this in the past, right? So anytime you hear the word itis, it doesn't mean that you've eaten too much and you can't.
It does.
Yeah, it does
mean that.
in certain tears, right? It does in certain instances, right? Like if Amina goes and she has an all-you-can-eat brunch at Beefsteak Charlie's,
she gonna get the itis.
She can get the itis, right?
Now, there's nothing the itis is its own word.
It's
in that
its
context.
own, yeah.
Yes.
So if it's the itis all by itself, we know what it means,
That's
right? But if you add it, was it a conjugation?
Yes.
If you connect it with another term, that means inflammation.
Oh, wait,
right?
is this a conjunction?
Conjugation is like you turn,
change the verb. I ran, you run, we shoot, if they run. Okay,
This is many years of education at work. You hear that, ladies and gentlemen? You see, this is all.
Between the three of us in here, including Amina, we can help those mediocre dermatologists.
Lots of education, right? Yeah, to figure out the difference between a conjugation and conjunction.
And a conjunction.
Conjunction
the
function.
itis alone
What's your
or the itis
junction?
What's your function? Oh, God, Gen X is the best.
So when you get the itis, like arthritis, it's the inflammation of the joints. Gastritis is your stomach is inflamed, right? Uveitis, your iris, your eyes are inflamed. So all the itis. So dermatitis means that your skin is inflamed, and there could be a number of reasons for that. And so the easiest one, the simplest one is like contact dermatitis. People know like poison ivy, right?
Yes.
Like you can touch something, your skin creates a reaction to it, becomes sensitized, and it's like, whoa, I don't like this. And as a result, your immune system floods the area, and it was like, oh, defend. As it's doing that, it starts to break things down. So now you get the wheals, you get the hives, you get all this stuff, all right? And so usually what you would do, for example, for dermatitis, for like contact or any type of dermatitis, is like an antihistamine. Antihistamines, common ones are Benadryl, is a common, right? And so the way antihistamines, they're antihistamines. Histamines are released by cells in your bloodstream. And what those kind of do is they go to the area. They're kind of like the snitches. They drop dime, right? The histamines come and drop dime and then tell the popo, he's over there,
yes,
right?
They're working with the white blood cell feds. Okay.
Right? And then the popo shows up and it's like breaks down the door and does all of that stuff, right? And so if
it's like ice, but for good.
Exactly.
But
it's the snitches, right? And so you got to tell them to chill out.
Right.
But what happens is because they're very talkative, right? These histamines, right? So the only way that you can tell them chill out, you got to give them something that shuts them down, shuts them. And so if you do that, it's also going to shut you down. That's why Benadryl makes you sleepy, right? You make the histamines like, yo, pipe down over there. You guys are ruining.
Take a nap.
Yeah, go take a nap. You'll wind up taking a nap. Right? So that's one of the things where people don't want to take antihistamines because of it, right? But you can have like topical antihistamines, so they'll have the Benadryl creams, and some people actually have allergies to antihistamines. The other thing that you can do is, again, with the steroids, again, working on your immune system and trying to modulate your immune system. And we know some of the things that can happen with steroids, whether you're taking them orally, you can have hormonal endocrine dysregulation, meaning like you can't just take steroids and stop. You got to wean off, right? It'll change. You can have mood disturbances when you take these topical steroids, and of course, it thins your skin out. And so sometimes people get dermatitis, and it's like, I don't want to take any of this stuff, right? Because the antihistamine is going to make me sleepy,
right?
And the steroid is going to thin my skin out, right? And so, you have to look for other ways to kind of treat it. And again, going back to culturally, I think there's things that have been passed down throughout our cultures that's like, hey, we know some ways to treat this without going to the physician, right? And and then people are like, yeah, last time I went to the physician, they try to do this, that, this, and that. I ain't going.
Right. Trying to give me a biopsy on red skin that I don't even have.
Red skin, it's gray, it's purple, okay, man? It's not, you see red over here?
And now I'm offended with your mediocre self. So you had mentioned some foods that people can turn to, and I know growing up, we stayed drinking lemon water because if we were going to have a flare up, my mom, I don't know how she knew this, but she's like, because she's a black woman who is sentient and receives wisdom from the ancestors, and she was like, you need lemon water. So if even today, like if I feel something happening, I'm like, oh, okay, I need lemon water. Let me go ahead and get. And she says it cleanses the liver. I'll take some milk thistle tea, some nettle tea, a whole host of things. She makes like creams with like, because she's that woman. But if you don't have a mama like mine, if you ain't got somebody in your house who's like happy to grow things and then make because now she lives with us and now she just grows things and she makes things. You guys got a indoor outdoor? Let me tell you, we got like a salad garden basically, right? I come home, this woman has not only put together the most amazing salad, she done made fresh sweet basil dressing. I'm like, this is amazing. This one, but she's that type of person.
Have you ever tasted any of these salads? I have not.
Don't be encouraging Amina to give me a side eye.
Mom,
but that's how
if
Mom
you're
rolls.
listening,
that's how she rolls.
Listening, I'm gonna talk to your husband. I'm gonna get an invite.
Not y'all having a connection now. Saw y'all connected over football yesterday. I was like, Lord.
Now I'm gonna come to your house. I'm gonna be eating salad. You gonna show up?
Hey, Mama Walters. Lorraine was telling all of us about that salad dressing.
Like, what are you doing here? I don't worry.
She's got her mortar and pestle. And she's like, it's so I love it. She's so cute.
It's salad at the Favors. We go into salad day at the Favors. Father's Day salad.
Listen, don't front. We got great plans for Father's Day. Shh, don't tell nobody.
Okay, all right.
But I know you might eat salad, but you don't grow salad. But you do grow CBD.
I do.
So what can CBD do about any of these things, if anything?
So we talked about the immune function modulation. So we were talking about the steroids and how they slow down your immune system.
Right.
So CBD does, again, we've mentioned that in the past, the way that it modulates the immune system is not by decreasing the amount of immune cells, but decreasing their hyperactivity. And so you don't get those side effects, the hormonal dysregulation, the mood dysregulation. You don't have to wean yourself off of CBD, right? It doesn't, if you apply topically, unlike the steroids, it's not going to cause thinning. It's not going to cause discoloration. So you're getting some of that relief without the potential of those side effects that you don't want, right? So you've got those. And then when you take it systemically, it allows you to sleep at night, right? So if you're scratching, you're itching, you're in pain, it allows you to sleep, get some sleep, and it calms everything down overnight so that when you wake up in the morning, your immune system is not going buck wild still, and it's kind of chilling. So if you combine like the internal and the external along with the other things, so stress is a trigger for these skin things, right? So if you're, like I said, with Apollo, school starts, his skin flares up, right? So stress is a trigger for that. So identifying things in your life that are elevating your stress, because stress causes a release of endorphins, which are like your fight or flight responses. So it kind of like hypercharges every system in your body, which is not good for you, obviously, right? So it'll manifest itself in your skin conditions. So finding ways to chill out, the foods that you eat, really important, right? So finding foods which are not toxic, which is hard in America, because our food is based on capitalism. It's not based on nurturing.
And we ain't seen nothing yet. Now they got rid of the FDA.
So, staying away from processed foods that, trigger you, those type of things, getting good mindfulness practices, like, and I say all that because I never want people to use cannabis or CBD as a magic bullet. It's always a lifestyle thing. It's a holistic thing. And if you're looking for a magic bullet, you're looking at it, you might as well go back to the dermatologist, get yourself
some mediocre medicine.